Welcome to Good Morning Football here live in New York City. It's Thursday, October 17th. My name's Kay Adams. Nate Burleson is back on National Poetry Day, by the way.
What?
Day for you, mi amigo.
Might spit a little poetry later.
Oh, just a little,
okay. Little spoken word for the fans.
You usually do. We've got Peter Schrager and Kyle Brandt. You may notice there's a little extra purple going on in our studio.
I like
Our lights on our set here today is Spirit Day. The NFL and NFL Pride are partnering with GLAAD to demonstrate support for all LGBTQ communities to take a stand against bullying. Very important stuff. Use the hashtag Spirit Day with your thoughts.
That's right, Kay, and we have a good show for you guys. We have a huge guest, and by huge, I mean big. The third pick in the draft, big D lineman for the Jets, Quinnen Williams is going to be joining us.
Break up the Jets.
We love this dude. Does he still have braces, guys?
I think so, and I hope so.
I hope so, too. I love this guy. He's going to be a fun guest. Don't you go anywhere. And what is it like to have your first Lambeau leap? Well, Mason Crosby, he did it after all of these years, finally got a chance. He's going to join us and tell us about that a little later on this morning. And how do defenses slow down last year's MVP? I'm going to take you to school with a little Burrow lesson and break down why Pat Mahomes is struggling and why he might fix those struggles tonight.
Let's go.
Doesn't have a lot of time to do it. That game, of course, in Denver is hours from now. It's time for the lead block as we let's go to Mile High and welcome in high and tight haircut, James Palmer. He's joining us on the show this morning ahead of this AFC West battle. James, we know Chiefs QB Patrick Mahomes has been dealing with a bit of an ankle injury over the last couple of weeks. What's the latest on him going into tonight's important game?
Okay, this ankle injury from everybody I've spoke to is legit. It's real. It's bothering Patrick Mahomes. When I was in the Broncos locker room this week, they all said, we expect it maybe to be re-aggravated once again, as it's happened repeatedly the last couple of weeks. But they also said, we also know he's not going to miss any snaps. We know he can still make amazing plays on one leg. But it is telling that pre-injury to post-injury, how different things change. I was at all three of these games when it first happened in Jacksonville, and then each of the last 2 weeks. His completion percentage goes down, his passer rating goes down, he stays in the pocket longer, he tries to get rid of the football quicker. But the most interesting part about it is, when the injury happens, every single one of those teams have switched to play more man coverage after the injury happens. Now, the Broncos don't play a lot of man, but when they do, they're brilliant at it. Now, Vic Fangio's made a lot of adjustments the last couple of weeks to help this defense. We'll see how he adjusts to Patrick Mahomes before or after if it gets re-aggravated once again.
James, they overhauled the defense in the offseason. They also brought in a new defensive coordinator, but here we are still with defensive struggles for the Kansas City Chiefs. What can you tell us about that D and what they can do to kind of get things right tonight against Denver?
Yeah, Peter, I think everybody will tell you that it's just not good, right? They've given up 180 or more yards in each of the last 4 games. Now, Andy Reid says it's not an effort thing, but Frank Clark told us last week in the locker room they've lost their passion, they've lost their aggression. They need to go out and find that. He said, we made every running back we've gone against look awesome. Here's the problem. Tonight they go against Phillip Lindsay, who's a Pro Bowl running back, and they've missed 58 tackles this season. Lindsay has forced 20 missed tackles. Now, Tyrann Mathieu told us also in the locker room that when it gets to the second or third level, that's when things get to be a problem with their tackling. Well, that's where Lindsay is the best, out in space. And the other part about this is their defense has just been on the field. The Texans had the ball for almost 40 minutes last week. That means your MVP quarterback in the second half on the field for about 5 minutes and 54 seconds. He can't play. You're also tired, and now it's a short week at altitude. Expect the Broncos to try to run the football early and often.
Hard to have all that effort and passion when you are on the field and time of possession is sort of taken away from you and not in your favor. Thank you so much, James Palmer. We'll talk to you throughout the morning here on GMFB as we get set to hand it over to Colleen Wolfe and company in Denver ahead of kickoff tonight. Back here in studio, tale of two teams, right? One has momentum, Broncos coming off 2 wins, Chiefs needing to rebound if they want to get this thing done this year, coming off 2 losses. Why is this game so important?
I think it's so important, Kay, because we're at this point in the season where there's kind of a fork in the road. What are you going to be? And both teams have this incredible opportunity to take them to the next level or step back. I look at the Chiefs right now. That bandwagon was full a couple weeks ago. 4-0, everything's going great. You could hear crickets on that bandwagon right now. They're not in the top 5 of anyone's power rankings. Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, they wouldn't necessarily be the team anyone's picking. And I look at that guy, Mahomes, not the same player the last couple weeks. The ankle's obviously bothering him. He's been under pressure. And what I find fascinating is I don't hear his name being mentioned in that MVP conversation anymore. So this is the first time, I think, in the last 2 years, really going back to last year, week 1, where he exploded against the Chargers and had that week 2 against Pittsburgh, and then had that national coming out party against the Broncos right here in Denver, that people are kind of down on Mahomes. So I'm fascinated to see, because his college career, okay, was not a winner. He would lose 3 straight games all the time. It hasn't happened as a pro. To me, fascinating for the career arc of Patrick Mahomes, and I don't think I'm being too hyperbolic or too exaggerating too much. This is an enormous game for the Chiefs. You go to 4-3, you are a mediocre team in this league. You win tonight, you're back and you're comfortable on top of that division. And if the Broncos lose, well, that could be the season for them too.
Let's not forget Patrick Mahomes now 2-5 in primetime games, which is no bueno. But Patrick Mahomes, as you're saying, he's dealing with a bit of an injury. There's other issues too. The injury happened week 1 against the Jags, and he re-aggravates it. And weeks 5 and 6 clearly takes a hit number after number, looking at these stats on the decline when he loses his mobility. But it's not only that, Nate, it's the different looks he's getting now.
You're right about that 100%. You know, when you look at this offense, it's hard to think that he would repeat from last year. You know, we oftentimes talk about the Super Bowl hangover. I feel like in this league, there's also a superstar hangover. And it's not because of regression in production. It's because teams are getting bodies on Pat Mahomes. If you're paying attention to these games, he's getting banged up more now than ever. And guys are finishing through the play. And there's nothing illegal about it. There's no flags thrown. I think defensive linemen are told, if you get near this man, put all of your body weight on him. And it's okay if he gets up limping. Because last year, he had so much freedom in the pocket. He would drop back, he'd throw 60 yards down the field. He'd drop back during the blitz and get rid of the ball quickly. Now you see teams like we're showing you right here, they're rushing 4 guys and dropping the rest in man coverage, which means when he drops back and is looking for his wide receivers, he can't hit them. And tonight, he has a guy that has an engine that's better than most, and that's Von Miller. So if that back end, that umbrella of that Broncos defense can at least stay in the face of the wide receivers just long enough to where Pat Mahomes has to double clutch that rock, you know who's going to be breathing down his neck, and that's Von Miller.
He's been sacked 5 times, Kyle, hit 9 times over these last 2 weeks. We've seen over the last 2 years, he drops back, he can extend the play. If he can't do that, no bueno. And him throwing into man coverage is totally different than what we've seen. He's been going up against man coverage more now than ever in his career.
He's got to have it tonight. This is a massive game for Kansas City. I think Kansas City Chiefs fans are a funny character in the NFL. 2 weeks ago, they're thinking, first round bye, home field throughout. Should we book Miami hotel rooms now? Can we get a discounted rate? Guys, they lose tonight. It's wild card time. You start talking wild. You can't lose 3 games in a row. And I think that the Chiefs fans are interesting because there's a running thread of insecurity through Chiefs fans over decades and decades of coming up short. And some of these nightmares, even going into a season like this that was so promising, are starting to come true. Is all the thoughts about, are we going to have a pass rush? No, they don't. They don't sack the quarterback. Is Mahomes going to stay healthy? No, he's not going to stay healthy. No one's afraid of Arrowhead right now. And, guys, there's something fascinating in the fourth quarter. Look at these last 2 games. This is the fourth quarter offense for the high-flying Kansas City Chiefs. 2 games now. 3 points combined, 67 yards, 5 first downs. They've had the ball for 5 minutes combined in the last 2 games. Why? You want last-second heroics by Mahomes? He can't get on the field. It's everything everyone thought might happen to the Chiefs' offense. The boa constrictor thing. The defense is getting run against, and Mahomes sitting on the side of them, get me in the game. They can't. He's been on the game 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, last 2 games. I think this is going to be an extremely difficult game for Kansas City to win. With what Denver does with running and that crowd, guys, very, very close game. And if Mahomes can't get on the field in the fourth, he can't win it for you. The defense has to do something.
If he can't hit the deep pass, if he doesn't have time to extend the play, and if he's not throwing into tight windows like he used to when he was facing zone coverage, you'd like to see them run the ball. How do you stay on the field? Run the ball a little bit. They have 12.5 carries a game since week 5. That's the lowest in all of the NFL. When they're trying to run, they're not doing it effectively, and they're really getting away from the run due to game script. So I'd like to see that up against Denver and see how it shakes out. This offense is not 100%. We're going to break down the defensive side of the ball, but it's all going down a couple hours from now on Thursday Night Football with Von Miller and the Broncos looking to defend their mile-high turf against reigning MVP Patrick Mahomes. It's Chiefs, Broncos tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network, on Fox, and streaming on Prime Video. To the NFC East we go next. 3 straight losses for the Cowboys. Will this be a get-right week for Dallas? And new life for the Jets. One of our favorite personalities is sitting down to join us. A big guest. Quentin Williams hanging out next.
What's up, Q?
Huge pancake guy.
He loves pancakes.
That's his favorite thing.
Does he love Tom Brady and sacking him?
Probably, yeah.
I think he would like that.
And smile for the camera.